Stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas, the prairie sky is wide and high. Deep in the heart of Texas, the sage in bloom is like perfume. Deep in the heart of
Hey, welcome to The Peel. This is Josh and Justin.
What's up?
This is our first episode, so bear with us. We might have a few mistakes. It'll probably be funny. We'll probably laugh at each other. But yeah, so point of the show is we're going to talk about the Dynamo. The show is probably going to be about an hour, give or take. We figured to do this because there really isn't anybody talking about the Dynamo here in Houston. I mean, we have our buddy Glenn Davis, but he also talks about other sports, or at least other leagues around the world. We want this to pretty much be strictly the Dynamo. Just going over, prior games and what we feel should happen with the team after, whatever instance.
Especially after our loss from last night.
Yeah, that was painful to watch. I mean, being there, it was sad.
The first half was just all us, and it was so great, But I don't know what they heard in the locker room that made them come out to just get destroyed, lose 3 goals in the second half, lose the entire game.
Yeah, I don't get it. So first, we'll give a little intro. My name's Justin. I'm originally from the Delaware area. I'm not gonna lie, I grew up a Union fan. Pretty diehard Union supporter. I am transplanted here in Houston due to work. But I do follow. I'm a season ticket holder. I'm passionate about this team. It's been tough this year, but it is what it is. I mean, the Union were in the same boat. When they first started. I mean, I don't think they won more than 5 games their first 2 years, but it was still fun to watch.
Yeah,
so.
and I mean, this is our worst season since our team has actually started. We're heading in the worst season we've ever had. So it's a tough season, but honestly, we're just going forward, just look towards the future. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that just happened. Obviously, with releasing of Giles Barnes, can open up that much cap space. Just to get some more players in for the future. But the main topic of this episode is going to be more about the Texas Derby last night and the 3-1 loss to Dallas. FC Frisco, really. But, it was a tough one. It was a tough one, a tough pill to swallow, especially after hearing Wade Barrett's post-conference, We'll get a little bit more into that a little bit later, too, but... I don't know. What did you think about that? What did you think about the first half, and then tell me about the second half?
It was first half. We looked all right. I mean, we held most of the possession the first half. Striking was off like it had been all year, but it looked like maybe we could hang in there and beat a really good Dallas team. As painful as that is to say, I mean, they are top of the table. Last time I checked.
Well, it feels like they turned the entire series between us around just in that second half.
Yeah.
Just in that second half alone. Those 3 unanswered goals that happened, throughout the entire year, U.S. Open Cup, plus, the trip to Dallas, plus the 5-0 victory that we had when we first started, we've looked like the better team out of them. Our stats don't show because of the table, but if you look at us just playing just Dallas, we've been the better team, just in general.
Yeah.
We got our cannon back, which is great. That's awesome. But it does hurt because personally I felt that we could have had a late playoff push. That was diminished when we didn't win against Seattle, but just fighting for pride. I had to sit in front of the supporter section for Dallas, and that was hard to listen to as well. Just hearing them out, it's just like, oh my goodness. I couldn't even stay for the full match of it, it was embarrassing.
All right, Josh, so real quick before we get any farther, give a little history of your passion for the Dynamo.
Yeah,
we'll go right
background. A little background from me. I obviously knew about the Dynamo when we first started in 2006 and won our MLS Cups 2006 2007. But I started becoming a diehard Dynamo fan when I found out about Brad Davis in 2011. He led the league in assists. He led us to an MLS Cup final. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to play that one. We lost to Galaxy. Also lost again the following year. But I became a massive Dynamo fan at that point in time, and just never fell off the wagon. Even during the dark times. I mean, I have a tattoo on my arm that represents them. I love this team to death. They're my favorite team. I've never been so passionate to follow somebody. So I fell in there about the 2011 range, and just haven't stopped following them ever since.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Josh, why don't you tell everybody a little brief history if they're not aware of the Texas Derby and how much it actually means to the fans here in Houston and for the state of Texas overall.
I mean, obviously, there's still just two teams in this league. I'm hoping it does expand to, San Antonio or Austin eventually to get them in the Derby with us. But as of right now, it's just us against Dallas, and we held a better record overall against them. We do battle for our trophy, which is a cannon. So they do actually have one more win than us in the series. So,
but that was probably because of last night.
That was probably because of last night. I still don't justify them. They don't have anything to show for it over us. Considering we do have 2 MLS Cup championships and they have 0 trophies to show. I don't even think they've won a U.S. Open Cup either.
No, as far as I know, they don't have any titles to their name.
Anywho, the fans shouldn't have even focused on fully the win last night. It did hurt to lose it all in the second half. My biggest goal was just getting our cannon back. That's our trophy. That's our Cascadia Cup, if you will. So that's what we fight for. In my honest opinion, that is true good luck, because when we had our cannon back when our stadium opened, we were unstoppable. We held a great record. We went on to go undefeated at home. We hold the longest streak in MLS history with that. And we had the cannon the entire time. It wasn't until we lost it to Dallas that Dallas started playing so well. They've made playoffs, and we have gone down. So the fact that we're gonna get our cannon back, I kind of think that's a little bit maybe superstitious, but I think it's pure luck. I think it's gonna be luck for us.
I hope so. I hope it's the start of getting, starting something new. Having El Capitan at the stadium, maybe the players will see that and be like, hey, maybe we have a shot. Maybe not this year, but next year. Maybe it'll stir the pot a little bit, which we'll get into that again later. But I think the front office is looking at that and starting that already with the departure of Giles Barnes. And we'll get into the players and the lineup and how, where we think the players and the team should go from this point out. If we don't get to it this show, it'll definitely be a topic on the next show because we do have a lot to get into. But with that being said, let's go straight to the game. Obviously, it was a tough game to watch. Yeah, we got a trophy back, which is kind of bittersweet. But FC Dallas ends up beating us 3-1 with a promising first half, and then they just came back in the second half and laid it on us. Now, like I said, I grew up in Delaware, so I automatically have a deep hatred growing up as an Eagles fan for anything from Dallas. So if any Dallas fans end up listening to this, sorry, but I don't like you. But the stats, if you just look at the stats from the match last night, it's pretty lopsided. And other than the shots on goal, Houston won in every other category except for the goals. Just possession alone, yeah, it's only 2%, but we did have 51% of the possession, and most of that probably came in the first half. Their goalie was on point last night.
Chris Seitz was amazing last night.
He was
great.
He was good.
Also, their players too. Mario Diaz got that penalty kick, and that just turned the entire tide of the game because they just kept pressing us.
Which I still think, I have to go back and watch the tape again, but I don't know if that deserved a penalty.
Who drew the foul? Do you know? I didn't even see who drew the foul.
I don't remember who drew the foul.
Yeah.
It was early.
It was extremely. It was early in the second half because 59th minute.
Yeah.
And then right afterwards, Barrios scored that goal. That beautiful goal.
Yeah. He goes on scoring 2 last night, one in the 60th minute and the other in the 79th. At that point, the game was already put away, and it was just adding insult to injury. If you look at the way we played, the team fell apart hard in the second half. They looked flat. They just looked like they were not prepared for what Dallas could bring out coming out of the half. it almost looked like they swapped jerseys last night. That's how bad it got.
They really did. I mean, it was just hard to watch, especially there in person. Like I said, I had to sit in front of the FC Dallas fans, and man, I love that they traveled here. Some of them might actually live here, but I love that they were so passionate about it. Even when we took the early lead against them, they wouldn't shut up.
No.
They wouldn't stop cheering for their team.
That is also the history of Dallas. They just try to rub it in everybody's face.
Oh, absolutely. I would have done the same thing.
And, going off stats, shots on target, 6-4 Dallas. And it's not like we weren't in that match. It's hard that we can't put the ball in the back of the net. I mean, even going back to last week, Giles Barnes sails endless balls last match. Torres looked like that again yesterday. I don't understand what is wrong with what's going on in the practice pitch to where these guys cannot put a ball in the back of the net.
Here's my thing with Torres, I was on the huge hype. I still might be a little bit on the hype because I think it just takes that crucial first goal from somebody to really get in the groove. And a player with the history of what Kubo has done for Chivas USA, my God, he was unstoppable. And they were the worst team in the league that's not even around anymore. And it didn't stop him, though. And I remember when they did basically the expansion, or when they got rid of the team, he was the one player that nobody could just automatically pick up because every player was basically free, except for Kubo Torres. And us signing him as a DP, I was just so stoked to come to watch him play, and then actually see the robot live, which we've yet to see, and we've had him for over a year now. And he's only tallied 1 assist for us. He doesn't seem like he has that heart right now because of the lack of playing time, but he hasn't done it for the Mexican squad. He hasn't done it for us. He's not the same player, and he's our designated player.
I guess another thing that bothers me is when you're making that kind of money, and you're as young as you are, it should not matter that hey, he hasn't played a full 90. Well, he's one of the youngest guys on the team. He should be one of the few players that can play a full 90. And it shouldn't matter how many matches he's playing in a year, whether that's for the Mexico League or, the Mexican national team or, I don't know why they hold him back, but I can see why at times he rides the bench. He'll come in, he'll get subbed in, and he's non-existent. Or if he does start, he's sailing the ball after getting nice dump-ins from Wenger and Maidana, and he can't do anything with it. And that goes for Bruin too. Bruin cannot play as a lone striker in this league. I think, and he's come out and stated before that he cannot play as a lone striker. He needs help, and he likes to play the ball back and hope that he gets help inside the box. And then that's what he's good at. But that's also a downfall of the Dynamo this year. Instead of taking that first strike with that first touch that they get inside the box, they wait for everybody to get loaded in the box. That ruins their whole offensive plan. I mean, if that is their plan,
they're trying to go back to the original ways. I'm sorry, Maidana's a great player, but he's no Brad Davis. He can't put the ball from a free kick on a platter for these guys like Brad Davis could have.
No, but if he is getting the free kick and if it's within that 18-yard box, it's going in the back of the net. He could
score the goal, absolutely. He could put the ball in the net himself,
But how much of that actually just goes to the strikers themselves, whether it's Bruin or Torres?
Well, we only play with one striker.
Can they? I don't think they could take the ball from those positions and handle it well. Yeah. To me, it just seems like they can't take assists. But and I'm looking through my notes, and I see that we had a shot against Dallas. We could have beat them. Other than Champions League matches for CONCACAF or the U.S. Open Cup, they're coming off a loss and a draw. One being the KC, the draw versus KC, and a loss to Salt Lake. Yeah, Salt Lake started the season pretty well. Granted, they played a few games before the MLS started, so they were kind of informed prior to the season. But, the fact that we could have knocked off Dallas and gotten an easy 3 points is what really bothers me. Dallas almost put it on a platter for us. that's the way it's been all year. These teams have taken the Dynamo lightly, and we could have taken 3 points easily. And I'm still trying to figure out what happened with the team that we started the first 3 matches of the season scoring goals left and right. What happened to that team?
It's totally lopsided now. It's all defense now. They've completely shifted their weight to the defense, in which the defense, in my opinion, is still phenomenal. Yeah, we did give up a lot of goals last night.
The defense is good prior to the last night. Or, once
you're
you
right,
get to the 90th minute.
You're right.
That
team,
team,
they do bunker, and I think that they give up a lot of possession, and ultimately they get scored on because of it, And so, but I think, players like David Horst, have improved so much, because at the beginning of the season, I was just like, God, why is this guy playing for us again? I don't really understand it, but after seeing him the past 5, 6, 7 matches, he's improved,
Yes.
August, I mean, he got another injury again, which I'm assuming it's the same injury, but he's another player that was just a couple weeks ago, he was named Player of the Week, Team of the Week in MLS, and then of course we have Joe Willis, and then the whole Joe Willis and Tyler Derrick.
That's a saga that's probably going to be going on the rest of the season.
And nobody really knows what's going on,
So let's stick with the game for a little bit. We're going to go over some stats. How do you feel about Manotas? I like where he's going. I like how the team's using him. I mean, just last night alone, he had 4 shots, 2 shots on goal. At least he's putting the ball in the general area of the net
exactly.
and not sailing it over it like, sorry, Will Bruin.
The kid, he notices that he's the lone striker, and he can be 18, 20 yards out. And you know what? If he sees a shot, he's going to go ahead and take it. He hasn't had goals with us in regular season play yet. All of his goals have been in U.S. Open Cup games or friendlies and whatnot. But I love his energy, and I think that he was he looks like Kubo when he first started for us, because Kubo did have that energy, and I think that Manotas is something that needs to stick around and definitely keep playing.
Yeah. I like it, and I think if they can keep Wenger and Maidana and have them playing as your guys coming up the middle and just setting Manotas up, I think this team could be deadly the way we started the season out. Granted, personnel has changed from that lineup that started, but I still think it's a good look, and I'd like to see more of that going forward. I'd like to see more Manotas, I'd like to see more Wenger, and I'd like to see more Maidana.
Absolutely, I do like to see a lot of Wenger, because I think that he's not only just a great. He can play both roles. He can play his attacking mid, but it seems like he can play. Yeah. It seems like he can play his. It seems like he can play his striking role as well, because he scored the lone goal against Seattle Sounders the other night, coming off it as a sub. You know? He's like a super sub for us.
So Josh, what is your overall feeling from that match? How do you think we performed as a whole? I mean, without getting too much into detail.
It's the same story for us as it's been all year. Attack the first half, and then just give up the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Just make dumb mistakes, give the ball away. Stupid petty fouls. It was kind of hard. I had to go back and actually watch it on TV, but a lot of it I couldn't tell if it was just diving, because I saw a lot of FC Dallas players on the ground, but. It's the same.
I get that,
man.
I get that in this conference in general. I mean, if you look at SKC, they dive all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
That's another story for when we play them on September 9th. So, with that being said, I don't know. I think the overall performance, it was a tale of two halves, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
First half, I was energized. I was like, all right, we got this. As soon as we came out of that tunnel, it was a different story. I don't see why there's such a disconnect between the team that plays in the first half and the team that plays in the second half.
I will say that I did enjoy seeing Boniak captaining, because I saw him telling players, he's like, so you need to stay with him, stay on this player. And he was telling.
As of right now, since Beasley's out, he's really the only guy that's getting any national attention. I mean, he's getting the call up for Honduras for these next qualifiers.
Yeah.
So hopefully that translates really well when he comes back as more of a leadership role. Kind of take the pressure off Clark. Clark's one of the older guys on the team. yes, he has that veteran experience, but there needs to be these other players that are going to step up. Clark can't do it all.
Clark's here to retire.
Ricardo Clark is probably
Yeah.
still the best player on this team.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's one of those you have to have other leaders on this team. And, with these comments coming out from Alex, which we'll get into in the next part of our show,
I will say, you did say Ricardo Clark being probably the best player. I have to say, our MVP this year is Alex. He is.
he's got that fire. There's something in him, and he's not getting a lot of attention.
He's really not. He's really not. But he has started.
I want to say he started almost every match
almost
this year.
every game. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have those stats in front of me, but I'd almost be willing to confirm that he's started almost every match, and if not, he's had a part in almost every match, whether it's coming off the bench or starting.
And so, and I have to say, DPs or regular players set aside, that was a great pickup for us.
Yeah.
He scores some phenomenal goals.
He does.
That goal last night was phenomenal.
It's like him and I'd almost say Horse. When they get a hold of one, watch out because it's going through the back of the net. They don't really finesse the ball that well. They're going to hurt you with the ball, which is completely different.
They're very physical players, especially Alex. He has been suspended. Well, he hasn't started at all because of suspensions.
He did have
I think that's the only reason why.
I think he leads the team right now in what is that, assists or not assists, yellow cards. Which I don't know if that's totally a great stat to have.
But still, he's just all over the ball. But I saw his frustration last night. I saw his frustration. You mentioned the comments.
You're looking at 5 yellows, 1 red, and 36 fouls total. He's definitely the guy he's gonna put you in your place if you're an opposing player and you're trying to knock around our team.
It might just be 1 red card, but those yellow cards were back to back, so that suspended him for the next game.
Yeah. But even if you look at Wenger, right now he's leading the team in goals with 4. And I want to say he's also top 3 in assists as well. No, actually he's 4th with 3. Boniek Garcia has 6. So that shows right there. Boniek is having that leadership role, and he has no problem not taking a shot and passing the ball off, which sometimes can seem like it's it could be our poison because they like to play the ball back. You get a guy forward, a good 5-10 yards ahead of the first defender, and they still try to pass the ball back to get help. Sometimes you just got to take that shot. Just go for it, But
which is what basically Manotas does for the team. He takes a shot, he sees it, even if it's uncanny to get it in the net, he still takes it. I love that about him.
Yeah.
I do think that we need some more strikers up top, though.
Yeah, but we'll get into that after we talk about the Wade Barrett comments, which I think Wade Barrett's starting to get a little annoyed.
It was heartbreaking. I could feel it. He was heartbroken.
At this point, how tied do you think his hands are, or do you think the front office is giving him full reign?
Well,
or is it?
He basically said that everybody's fighting for their job right now, and truthfully, in my eyes, I think I don't think everybody's fighting for his job. I really think that I think that they need to give him a full-on, at least a season as our full-on head coach. Because he took over so fast. And he put the Band-Aid on for when Owen Coyle left. He stopped all those losses.
Yeah.
Granted, he turned them into ties, but that's better than losing right now,
Yeah, but you can't win a league, though, with ties. It could keep you in contention, but that's once you're already above the last playoff spot. At that point, draws aren't that bad. Draws aren't that good either.
He did mention we found some ways to lose games.
Yeah, Jesus, I'm horrible with last names, Acevedo Jr., who writes for MLS.com. He puts out an article, and he sums it up the best with the way this year's going. And the Dynamo lost a game in which they had a lead. And if you've gone to the games or if you've watched the games all year, it is a broken record for the Dynamo. It's whether you have a lead, you lose it in stoppage time or anything like that. It's what's been going on all year, and I think Wade Barrett's. I think he's over it. He's starting to let his personality get out there and tell these players, hey, it's getting real old.
Yeah.
It's, you know, play with your heart on your sleeve. Don't be playing for yourself. You need to play for the fans that are in the stands.
Absolutely.
In the press conference today, you know, he said, you know, we have fans to play for, the city to play for. You know, it's not over yet. So keep your heart in it. You know, and so I know Josh read through the article a little bit, and so did I. The players know that they're not putting their best effort out there. You know, and it goes on to saying nobody's hiding from it. His exact quote was, "We found some ways to lose games. Everybody in the locker room knows it. You guys know it as well." Talking about the press, there's no hiding from it. How do you feel about these quotes and, you know, Wade over the last couple weeks getting on these players?
It hurts to hear it coming from him because, you know, like he's our original captain. So, you know, it's hard to hear that coming, and now he's our coach right now. It's hard to hear that, you know. So it does hurt to see that coming from him. But I still think that they need to keep just doing what they're doing right now. Honestly, yeah, you gave up a loss. Yeah, you gave it up. Okay, just face reality. We're not going to make playoffs this year. It's not going to happen. You know, statistically we're still in it, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so just play for your heart. You know, and he needs to play. I mean, that's what he needs to focus on. He needs to, and they need to give him that position next year. He needs to have that head position.
He also goes on to stating, you know, we let a good team stick around too long, which they are. We can't lie; they're in first place. As much as I hate Dallas, I can't get over the fact that they are a really good team this year.
They're a great team.
You know, even with them losing their star to some club in Turkey, I can't tell you their team. You know, he says, you know, we let a good team stick around. I've talked about when you're on top of a good team, you have to have an end result. We had one goal, and he feels like they could have more. And if you look at just the first half alone, they could have. They had numerous chances in the first half, and they didn't capitalize.
Yeah. I mean, even in the second half, we had a chance to tie it up, you know. Manotas. Oh, man. So close, so unlucky.
Yeah. But that's been the story of the team all year. How many good shots have you gotten from Bruin, and you just can't find the back of the net?
Yeah, it's unlucky, you know. I mean, it's coming from our strikers, you know, who's supposed to. Your job is to finish the ball and put it in the net, but you can't. You know, and it's something that, sadly enough, I've just gotten used to, just this season. You know, I do focus on. See me, I kind of focus on the bigger picture of everything. You know, I put it aside. You know, with what Wade Barrett has said, you know, it's heartbreaking. He's probably just sick and tired of dealing with it. You know. But you got to suck it up. You got to focus on the next game. You got to focus on moving forward. You know, you can't go back and take that. You can't keep coming up with excuses.
So, you know, we're going to move on to another player. Alex, I don't have the transcript in front of me. He was talking to a Spanish reporter. I didn't even get the company. And I'm paraphrasing it, but there's players on the team that aren't putting up their full 100% effort. What are your feelings on it? I'll get into mine.
I really want to know who he's talking about, you know. I really want to know who he's referring to, because if there's players on this team that are feeling that way, you know, well, no wonder. You know, no wonder we're giving up, you know. It's like they're letting it all go. And obviously he's just as frustrated.
Well, yeah.
As everybody.
But here's my question for you is if you're in a locker room, do you want to throw that name out there and then get labeled? I mean,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, you don't want to put it. Yeah, you don't want to put it out there. I'd love to know. Yeah, I would love to know.
I would love to know who it is.
But you don't want to put it out.
I don't want that, lack of better words, cancer in the locker room, because then it's just going to fall apart more than what the team already is falling apart.
Yeah,
and it's not a good welcome.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, he's already said it. You know, the fact that we know about it, he's already said it to you. You know, and like I said, he's probably going to end up being our MVP. And he feels that way.
Yeah.
You know, that sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks, man. You know.
So I don't know. Let's we're also going to take a look at our roster a little bit. Talk about what players we think should go, who shouldn't, who should be moving on, who should be our guys going forward, whether it's this year or next year. You know, and just see. We're just going to base it off the players that played last night, because that's pretty much the players we have available right now. I think number one overall has got to be Manotas. He's the young guy. He's playing well. I don't see them needing to get rid of him. I don't even think he's making that much money.
Oh no, because he's just. I mean, he's still so young. You know?
But you've already cleared that cap space that you had that money tied into Barnes. He's gone. He's off your books. You know, how about this? We'll pick the 3 that are staying and the 3 that we personally think should go. I think that makes more room for conversation instead of just going down each player on the roster. So I'll give you my 3 that should stay and my 3, and Josh will give his 3 that will stay, and then we'll get on the ones that should probably go. So I'm gonna stick with yes. I'm gonna add a 4th one in there. It's gonna be a bonus, and I'm not gonna lie. This has to be because I do have a Union background. But number 1, like I said, is going to be Manotas. Number 2 and 3 is going to be Wenger and Maidana. I just think their crossing capabilities and the way they like to dump the ball off and get an offensive.
They brought a new energy. They brought a new energy.
They have.
You know, especially at the beginning of the season, they did bring a new energy.
And then go ahead and crucify me, but I think Shane Williams needs to stay on this team as well. I think because
I can see that. I can absolutely see that.
Here's the reason why. I mean, honestly, how many years do you think Beasley has left in him?
Oh man, I mean, because his contract's up at the end of the season. I don't even see him signing with us.
So
again.
my thing with Williams, and
he's a great.
Growing up watching him a little bit in the Union Academy, he can play a lot like Beasley. Now, I'm not saying he is a Beasley or his skill set is on the same level as Beasley's, but I do think that he has that kind of capability where yes, he could play really good defense, but he can also press the ball forward and start an offensive play.
Absolutely, yeah, I saw him doing that.
I mean,
quite often last night, you know.
I don't know why he's riding the bench as much as he is, especially when, you know, yes,
Beasley's
we have
out, you know.
We have Beasley out, but yes, you do have Horst and you do have Alex that are playing a defensive role. But I personally feel like Williams needs to get more minutes.
Because he's playing right back position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, completely opposite from where Beasley is. I think that I think. It does make me scratch my head a little bit why Williams sits on the bench a little bit more, you know. And that could be due to schedule or whatnot. You know, I've seen a lot of weird choices being made. You know, I'm like I mean I don't understand why he sits on the bench. You know?
Yeah, I don't know either. Who do you have for the 3 players that definitely need to be here next year?
I do got Manotas. Definitely, absolutely. Wenger is my boy, you know, so I got to stick with Wenger. And then honestly, Alex, man, you know, I mean, he's gonna be our MVP regardless of how the rest of the season goes. I think that he needs to stay with us, man. He's got that heart, and he said what he said, but I think it's only because he actually truly cares about this team. You know, this is his 2nd season with us, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's his 2nd season with us. So those would be my 3 picks. You know, obviously you're gonna have the veterans like Boniak and Rico. They're gonna be here next year, so I'm not worried about them. You know, I do want to kind of go real fast into who's gonna leave, who should leave. Jalil Alibaba.
Yeah.
You know,
I could see him going. I just feel like it's not that he's a bad player. I just feel like he's dead weight on the team. He doesn't contribute a whole lot.
Yeah.
I've
seen him give up the possession a lot.
He does give up possession.
He does have attacking role, but that's typically where he's giving the ball away.
Yeah,
you know,
he does.
He doesn't have a good recovery, and I've seen players such as Beasley have to fix mistakes like that because he's running across the field.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason, you know, you have Beasley who's needing to get knee surgery to clean out his knees. I mean, the guy's old.
Yeah.
Like, there's no hiding it. He's old. Still probably one of the best defenders in the league. But you can't have this player that is trying to cover up other players' mistakes and expect him to last the full 90 or even the full season. You know?
Yes, this is true.
So, you know, my 3 that I'd probably have to see go, and as much as it pains me to say it, is I need to see Beasley go. I think, and it's not from skill set, because I still think, like I said, you know, his skill's really good.
Yeah.
It's his age. He is getting up there in age. And the guy has glass for knees now. You know? We've been to so many matches this year, and, you know, how many times have you seen him on his back the whole match?
Yeah, well, he's picking up a lot of weight from a lot of... He's across that field all the time. I mean, I love his energy still, but you know what? He signed a 2.5-year contract with us, and at the end of the season, that contract's up.
Yeah.
Even if we wanted to sign him, I wouldn't blame him if he didn't want to stay.
Now, okay,
You know?
so if you're the team, though, do you give him... I don't know if MLS money works the same way, but do you give him, like, a veteran minimum contract and say, hey, take it or leave it, and let him ride for another year? Or do you just try to save whatever money you can to bring in a big player?
It just depends on how much they would offer. If he would even take that DP status, because you can only have 3 DPs, you know?
Correct.
And we've obviously wasted one.
Yeah.
Beasley has the other one. You know, we still have an open slot for another player. But I wouldn't want him to have that third designated spot next year. I would want him
the
to
money's
truly
not
just,
worth it.
Just because you played for USA, you know, I mean, those days are over, though. You know, it's
Now,
at that age. And
I agree
love
with
Beasley
you.
to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think he's awesome. But yeah,
Now,
for our
I
team-
agree with you for the Anibaba. We've already been over that. I feel like he's dead weight.
Yeah.
Now I know you were on the Eric Cubo Torres train pretty hard, but me, I've never been a fan. Even coming into last year, when they made the signing, he's been hurt a year and a half.
Yeah.
How many matches has he honestly played a full 90? How many goals has
Yeah.
he scored since he's been on the team?
He's like a goose egg.
It's a big goose egg.
He's only tallied an assist for us on that.
You know, if you're paying a guy that much money, whether it's a DP spot or not, the guy needs to perform. Whether
Absolutely.
that's for 45 minutes or for a full 90, perform.
He's so
And he's
young.
not even even if he's young. They said before he wasn't in match shape for a full 90. The dude's almost the youngest guy on the team.
Here's my pitch though on that situation with Kubo. Since we're already in this hole of for our season, start him the rest of the season. Try to get your money's worth and see what he can do. And just, I mean, if he gets a goose egg at the end of the year, goals wise, then
Would
he
you
gets a goose egg, man.
would you still rather keep him or shop him around now and get money?
It all depends.
And then
on
try to get some kind of formation or lineup together that will put butts in the seats.
Depends
If
on-
you went out from here, playoffs still might not be a thing, but at least you can play the thorn in the side of some teams.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
so why
Play
not try?
spoiler. Yeah, play spoiler. Absolutely.
I don't.
I mean,
I don't
change
know.
it up, man. Change it up. Get 2 strikers up there. Get Kubo and Manotas up top, and just see what happens.
Now, do you think? How do you honestly feel about the Giles Barnes move? I'll let you discuss your take on it, and I'll get into my personal feeling.
It hurt, dude. It really hurt when he left, because when he first came, I saw the potential in him, and then he he was an MVP for us in one season. But I can understand the move. I really can. The team's not going in the direction it needs to go. They need to free up that. It's like 75 or 7.
It was a good amount of money.
Insane amount of money, cap space, And so yes, I agree with what they did. As much as it hurts me, because I love Giles Barnes to death. I think he's awesome.
I honestly think the only reason Wade and the front office really did it is I think they wanted to prove to the team that nobody's safe. It doesn't matter what
Absolutely.
caliber
Yeah.
player you are, how many
Yeah.
goals you have, because at the time they traded him, he was tied for first in goals. And people fail to forget or fail to remember he was hurt in the beginning of the year. If I remember, I think he had a concussion and then he had some knee problems. But in the first stretch of 3-4 games, he was the best player on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting setups by Wenger and Maidana left and right.
But somebody with that fragile figure, because that's what ruined his European career, should not be staying on this team anyways with that much cap
But he did
space.
bulk up a little bit. I mean, the guy looks like he can play football
He
right now.
bulked up, but honestly, I mean, he needed to go. He needed to go. He needed to go with a team that is in a playoff position right now. He's that capable. He's not an explosive star, but
What I will say though is, prior to today and this weekend's matches, I did look at his stats. The guy doesn't really have any minutes right now for Vancouver. Doesn't have any goals, and I think he has 1 assist.
Well, he coming in, that late in the season, you're not going to want to change up your team too much.
No, but I mean, you can at least get some minutes off the bench.
Yeah, yeah.
But so
I mean, it is what it is with Barnes gone.
yeah.
It just opens up what we're gonna do for next season. Where's this team gonna go? Who are they going to let go? Who are they going to bring in? Because we finally have the owners making announcements to the fans saying, you know, they're not
that I
making
do like.
excuses.
You
They're
know,
not making excuses anymore. They're saying, we know. You guys deserve better.
when you're looking around at a really nice venue like we have at BBVA, and you're seeing, yes, midweek games are horrible. They have an earlier kickoff. It's hot. Traffic in this city is horrible. But when you have empty seats because people don't want to stay in traffic or even make it to the match because they see that this team's not worth it, there's a problem.
Absolutely.
There's a problem at the root. And I'm hoping that, you know, with this front office, that they're trying to spend that money. They're trying to make these moves to get people in the stands. You know, and it's even showing across the board. And I feel that, you know, when you look at it on TV, it gives you kind of like a false perception of people being in there. You know, from my seats, looking towards downtown, it's empty on the other side of the stadium. You know, they put the supporters up in the big section. It's empty around them.
Yeah.
You know, and their whole big push about putting them up there was to try to get fans to grow the section. Well, when you have a team that's trash or you have a front office that doesn't want to make these moves yet, it hurts. People don't want to show up. And now when you have to compete with the Astros that are in a playoff push, and the Rockets that were making a playoff push in the beginning of the season, you know, you have to spend money to compete in this league.
Absolutely.
It's not like EPL where it doesn't, you know.
Trust me, we're not broke. Our team is not broke by any means.
No.
You know, I mean, obviously with the state, I can't say new stadium, but the stadium,
So
the women's soccer team. Now we have
how long till the front office realizes after seeing all these other MLS clubs dumping a ton of money in their team. Look at the Union signing Bedoya, you know, and there's a player that I'm going to bring up here in a minute, only because I think his career, two of them, their careers are over in Europe. Now, both of those players aren't going to go to the same team, but we're going to get into that. You know, but you have a beautiful venue. Put rear ends in the seats. Spend the money. Stop penny pinching. It's soccer. You're going to get a return on your investment if you put a team out there on the pitch that competes.
Get a big name player, yeah.
So, speaking of the big name players, there's two. One that I know is definitely going to be on the move because Pep Guardiola is over him and he signed Barcelona's keeper. And that's Joe Hart.
Joe Hart, yeah.
Right now, we don't have horrible keepers, but there, to me, does seem like there is a keeper battle, per se, between Joe Willis and Tyler Derrick. I know Tyler Derrick's hurt right now and he's not match fit. Joe Willis hasn't been playing horrible, but I don't think he's a stud going forward.
Would that be what you really want, though, for them right now? Or is Joe Hart coming over?
I don't want Joe Hart because Joe Hart, and the reason Pep doesn't want to keep him is he cannot play, he can't start an offensive play.
My personal opinion is a number one star keeper shouldn't be your designated player.
No.
You know, the Tim Howard thing, that's awesome that he came back to the States, but
yeah, but look,
Colorado's,
he got beat by RSL pretty bad.
Yeah, he did.
You know, if you're that caliber of player and you just came from EPL, yes, Everton wasn't that great this year, but hey, they didn't get relegated. They stayed up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but when you were that caliber of player, you shouldn't be getting beat like that on cheap goals like that in MLS. It doesn't work. But no, I'm just saying, you know, with them, spend money on that caliber of player. Not a Kubo Torres, which is a good name, or a Giles Barnes that was a has-been in Europe. Sign a big name guy.
Before you say your next player, though, I'm going to say this.
You're going to like my next player.
I was reading online. Somebody was like, let's get Wayne Rooney over here. And I'm sitting here, I'm
not a chance in hell.
You really think that we're going to get Wayne Rooney to come over here? He's still over in Man United. I'm sorry, the guy's still in his prime, but
I'm going to tell you right now, Jose Mourinho, personally, I feel will find any way to get him out of town. Because when you have a guy like Zlatan who can score, and you've got a guy like Pogba that can score,
yeah,
Wayne Rooney's kind of the odd man out there. I want to see him in MLS? Not really. Does MLS probably want to see him in MLS?
Absolutely, they want to see him.
But I'm tired of these old washed-up guys coming.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring up a 32-year-old that is currently in EPL.
Okay.
Not playing right now.
Okay.
Because the team doesn't seem as match fit. But that's Bastian Schweinsteiger. I still think he's probably one of the best players in Europe.
Absolutely.
But
I like that. You know, I like that.
He has almost already said he is open for anything else that's not a European team. He already said that Man U is the last European team he's going to play for.
Thing is that
He's only
Do-
32 years old.
Why is it that the Dynamo can't go after these players?
That's my question.
You know, like, I mean, you got like teams like Orlando, New York City FC, LA Galaxy,
and if it's
the New
honestly
York Red
the if
Bulls,
it's
for
honestly the
everything,
Heat, what are you doing playing a sport to begin with?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Get over it. You know.
It's it's
Get
hot,
over it.
but the fans sit there for 90.
Yeah.
You're getting paid
Yeah.
money to go play. Show up and play.
If you put a player with that kind of caliber in a stadium like that, they'll pack that place out.
So my thing is, hypothetically, we bring in Schweinsteiger. Who's gone?
It's just, God, I'd give up anybody for him, you know. But I mean, I don't know, man. You know, it just seems so unrealistic because it's not the Dynamo.
Yes,
way.
it's unrealistic.
It's not
but
the Dynamo way to sign a player like
it's
that.
not.
You know?
But look at these other MLS clubs that are doing it.
Yeah.
Yes, did NYCFC look like a joke when they first came in the league? They
Absolutely.
did.
Now
But David Villa looks like he could go back in Europe and play every single day.
Oh yeah.
You
absolutely.
have Lampard, who
Can
was
we
the
talk about-
laughing stock of NYC,
Yeah.
and now he's probably their second best player on the team behind David Villa.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got players like Jermaine Defoe that have come over from EPL. You
That's
know,
exactly
go.
what I'm
Hey,
saying.
yeah, no, I still got it. He goes back in. You know.
Yep.
Dead Drogba. Personally, I still think the guy is in his prime. It just feels, you know.
How about we talk about the league's leading scorer, Javinko.
Sebastian Javinko,
He should be
The most
playing anywhere
underrated-
other than MLS.
the most underrated MLS Italian player of all time.
And the fact that the
Probably
Italian
best
coach let
player
him off
in MLS history.
and didn't call him up for the Euros is completely stupid. I mean,
Absolutely.
who won the Euros? Let me guess, not Italy. Okay? You got knocked out early.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do I think Javinko would have made a huge difference? Probably not, but he would have put you in a better position to win, and he
Mhm.
didn't. You know, so
Well, he came out of nowhere all of a sudden, you know. Now Toronto FC is fighting for a #1 spot in the Eastern Conference.
And
you know.
everybody wanted to get on the Eastern Conference. Look at their top 4 teams.
Yeah.
They're going to
Yeah.
beat each other up in the playoffs,
Yeah.
and it's going to be nasty.
We totally strayed off our topic too about like Hoover's coming over the Dynamo though.
No, but I mean, but it's a good-
I completely understand.
It's a
it,
good
you know.
discussion to have.
I
Whether it's
completely understand. it, you know?
100% related
Yeah.
to the Dynamo, no. But these players coming in, the ages are slowly
Yeah.
getting younger.
Yeah.
You don't have a guy like Steven Gerrard, who I'm pretty sure is like 60 years old and still scoring goals. You know,
you get a point, yeah.
you have these younger guys that are coming.
Yeah.
Javinko's still young, isn't he? In his mid-20s.
Oh,
Late
the dude's
20s?
in his pure on prime. He's young. You know, I mean, goodness.
It doesn't have his age,
no,
but
yeah, it
I
doesn't
mean,
have
the
his
guy
age,
has
yeah.
16 goals.
16 goals.
16 goals, and we're just over the halfway point.
And he wasn't even showing up the first half of the season or something
No.
like that because he was. I think it was because you got snubbed off. But look at what he's done with Toronto
It's
in
ridiculous.
the past like 5-6 games. I mean, the dude is unstoppable. Right now.
You know,
And they're doing it in the right way. You know.
yeah. Now, I mean, even so, we're not going to really have a show next week. So part of it is Josh and I and some of the American Outlaws here in Houston. We're taking a road trip out to Jacksonville for the qualifier out there. So we're probably going to do a live show, a couple of live shows on the way there, whether it's the van out there, night before party, some pre stuff, you know, just talking about the U.S. match. Dynamo are off this next weekend. Their next game isn't until the 9th against Sporting Kansas City.
Real fast, just before we get onto the Sporting Kansas record and the stats here, and what we're gonna do. What do you think that? What do you think that we're gonna do for the USA game? It's USA versus Trinidad. What do you think
It's
the
US and
score-
Trinidad.
What do you think the score is gonna be, and who's gonna
I'm going to give
score?
an early score. We'll dive deeper into that probably that Saturday night before we leave, or Sunday when we finally get to the hotel. It'll be uploaded probably on Labor Day. But I honestly feel Christian hopefully gets the start, and he's going to put us up a goal. For some reason, I've got a real eerie feeling that we're not going to blow out Trinidad. I think it's going to probably be a 1-0 win. You know, I don't see us losing, but I see Trinidad coming out playing us hard.
My thing is here, you know, with that game though. My honest opinion is the complete opposite. I think we're gonna blow them out of the water. Honestly, Josie Altidore is gonna score himself at least a couple goals. He's gonna start.
Josie needs to
Josie
score to
is
keep his job.
in form though for Toronto.
He is.
Annihilating good players.
How many of these players vice versa, whether it's at the international level or back to the MLS level or reverse.
Josie has everything to play for right now because of the tournaments he's missed.
Yeah, he does. And,
Yeah.
I mean, he has a real bad history lately of getting injured. And I think his hamstrings are not what they used to be, and I think that's going to be a downfall of his career. And you're talking to a guy that loves Josie.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he was
Yeah.
one of the best midfielders / attackers that we've had in a while. You know, and he has big shoes to fill because there's one name that's not going to be out there for these qualifiers, and that's Clint Dempsey. You know, and I think I think it's going to hurt. So we're gonna wrap this up here. We're getting to almost the end point of our show. We want to thank you, number one, for listening. So going forward, we're gonna try to throw in, you know, a good portion of the show is gonna be dedicated to the Dynamo.
I know at the beginning we did say the Dynamo, but you know what? Forget it.
We
didn't mention that we're AO members too.
We are also really big soccer fans in
Yeah.
general, so we might sprinkle some EPL in there. But like I said, for the most part, the content is going to be Dynamo. If there's U.S. games in and around, you know, when we do these shows, yes, we are going to dive into the U.S. because it is what has driven soccer to where it's at right now in our country. So we are going to be doing a U.S. special edition show. It's not going to be Dynamo based. Maybe real brief if there's any big news coming out around that time. But for the most part, it is going to be U.S. soccer, the state of U.S. soccer, in and around the game, possible lineups, possible goals, what we see going forward. It's probably going to be a pretty short show, probably about a half an hour.
So it's gonna be next Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, because we're gonna make the travel out to Florida. So definitely check back for that.
So we'll post it. We'll post it on the Peel's website. We're not going to do anything different for it. It's still going to be under the Peel. It's just going to be a U.S. edition.
Mhm.
We'll probably do a couple shows. We'll probably do a pre-match and a post-match. Maybe do a real quick live thing while we're at the game, like at halftime or whatever. So just stay tuned. So please, feel free to contact the show. We have a Facebook, a Twitter, and an email. You can find us on Facebook at the Peel 2005. They just wouldn't let us use the Peel. Twitter, it's going to be at the Peel 05. And an email. Next week, our next Dynamo show, we want to get into some emails. So if you have any questions, we're going to try to answer a few of them on the show. It's going to be thepeel2005@gmail.com. You'll be able to find all that stuff, whether it's on our Twitter or our Facebook page. You'll find the contact info on there. So we're going to upload these shows on YouTube, post them on our Facebook and Twitter. So there's 3 different places to watch it. I'm going to post it on YouTube first. Second day, I'll post it on Facebook, the actual video. But there will always be a link to our YouTube for the shows on our Facebook. So also, if you have friends that are Dynamo fans, please spread the word. We want to try to make this big in Houston and make this a thing. We got started late in the season, but I felt after the Dallas match, something needed to be done.
Absolutely, yeah. We needed to talk about some stuff, you know. But and honestly, guys, you know, this was our first ever podcast here for anything, you know, for me, anything, you know. So trust me, we will get better at it over time.
Yeah.
You know, so bear with us. But we are honestly looking forward to continuing the show, and we're only going to do it just to talk everything about soccer, you know, and we need you guys for support.
Yeah, and, you know, if you guys, you know, email in or leave us Facebook stuff, that just deepens the content that we can talk about, you know, where you feel the team's at, what your personal gripes are, you know, stuff like that helps our content and helps the show grow. So please feel free to contact us. Unfortunately, I'm kind of a Facebook whore, so I will answer questions, you know, and when it pops up, and even emails. So thank you for listening to our first show. I hope you enjoyed it. We are going to take the week off because we have the U.S. match. Well, week off from the Dynamo. So we will try to do a show Saturday night. Everybody's crashing over at my place from there. Also, with that being said, if the audio quality is horrible, we are ordering mics so we can
We're
do
getting
this
better
show.
at this, guys. This
So
all
we can do
happened
it
fast.
So we can do a legit version of this show. That right now we're just recording this with the mic that's built into my computer. But from here on out, probably once we get back from Jacksonville, we'll have legit equipment.
We'll definitely we'll probably get something squeezed in here before the SKC game, because that's our next game, and that's still a big game for us.
Yeah, it is.
Guess what? That's another huge rivalry, you know.
Well, then
in itself, and
to preview real quick, I mean, I guess we'll get into it just real quick.
Yeah, we got about,
we got
five
about
minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that one's gonna go? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, there's one player I'm scared of, and that's Dom Dwyer. He's leading that team with shots on goal, and he's still probably one of the best players in the league.
SKC don't scare me. I'm sorry. They are another team that has not bettered us, though. You know,
I agree with that.
It's been like that. You know, you know what? They had one season that was great, and yeah, they won the MLS Cup, which is kind of a big deal. But you know, honestly, other than that, I'm not scared of SKC because we're known to go into their house and actually beat them. My personal opinion on the way we're playing right now, I think that we're gonna draw. I think we're gonna walk out. It'll probably be 0-0, 1-1. You know. If it's 1-1, yeah, Dom Dwyer does score against us. Maybe David Horst or maybe miraculously Kubo gets a start and scores knockout.
Well, they are 2-2-1 in their last 5, so I'm hoping that with that inconsistency, maybe we could break through. I don't know. Well, did Zusi get the call up?
Zusi got the call up. Matt Beasler got the call up, so they will be gone.
No, they won't be gone because the game's on the 9th. So they might be back, but if SKC gives them the time off, let's beat them.
Yeah. Yeah, we do need to take advantage
Beasler
of
did
that,
get the call up though.
Yeah, and they will play Brad Davis against us for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't blame them, especially because you know they probably wouldn't start Graham Zusi or Matt Beasler.
No. So that guys is gonna wrap up the show. We're gonna finish here just a little early, probably like 2 minutes. But like I said, I'm glad you listened. Please give us any feedback. Again, our Facebook is gonna be the Peel 2005. Our Twitter is the Peel05, and our email is thepeel2005@gmail.com. I look forward to answering some emails, and I know Josh does too. So, till next time, guys, till the U.S. match, peace.
Later, guys.